That's we have it there.
There is one on the subtraction that I can't actually read. Alright. Just hitting the hand sanitizer. So on our subtraction, our minus sign, I see subtract, take away, less than, reduce, subtract, negative, difference, love that one, give away, take away, remove, and something. Sorry, I can't read the bottom one.
Which one was that for?
Subtract. Those were all for subtract. And I agree with all of them. They all take away or remove or get rid of. A lot of what we're going to be doing this first chapter, especially if you flip through that book, you'll notice most of the problems that we have and we look at are story problems. So a lot of what we're going to be doing, especially this first chapter, is practicing that words to equation translation. And that's what's giving us this start here. All of these words are a part of that. So our subtracting, we had a lot of different options. Our takeaway, remove, gets rid of, loses. We can, with our plus sign, we've got addition, total, sum, altogether, add to, positive, plus, more of, and you say prove? Is that what that says? Prove? Is that what? Or do you use, sigma?
Sigma is the actual name of the plus symbol.
That's not a sigma. Sigma's a letter.
Nope, it's actually the original math equation.
Okay, the
for
original. Now you go in ancient Greek.
Yes, I am.
Okay, still not used. We use sigma and other things in math. All right, so then we had our star, which most of us caught on to was our multiply. We also have star times. That would be where we have things like double. That's also going to be a multiplying thing. So we've got our division, where we had it cut. I see that. I think that's what that does. We've got divide, half of. You could also have things like split. If we have to split it among our friends, we are dividing the pizza among our friends. That is still division. Cutting it into pieces. That could be what that one means.
Yeah, I wrote that one.
Oh, cutting. So, and then on our parentheses, this is probably the hardest one to come up with words for. This is probably the hardest one. So we had our parentheses. Ooh, my favorite one is on here. First. So if we do x plus 3 first and then times 3, that means the x plus 3 has to be together first. Okay? Combine, distribute. Excellent use of distribute would go with this, absolutely. Okay? I was just saying, it's also on here a couple of times, so a few of us had that idea, and I love that. Okay? So that's what these are. All of those words, those like 30 words, all mean one of these 6 symbols. So when we are taking the paragraphs of stuff and trying to put them as expressions or equations, it's tricky to find those words because there's so many options. And so a lot of what we're going to do is practicing that words to math translation. Okay, so that's what we're going to do next. It says page 10. These are not written on page 10. But what we're doing today is technically on page 10. There's just not great stuff to write. So it's like a big empty page full of squares.
Fun.
I don't know why. I didn't design the textbook. Hey. So we have it. 10. Looks like this. If it helps you, write stuff here. If it doesn't help you, don't write stuff here. I am not quite sure what they intend for us to put in boxes. And I have taught this for 4 years. I wrote this page. This is not the activity for today. This is what I saw as we needed an intro to the activity today. The one they designed is hard.
I have who has this class. What
Yes.
it's called.
I have who has. Is what it's called. But it's the one they designed. If we just like jump straight into it, it's just like, whew, where'd that come from? So I have a couple of things we do beforehand to get us ready for that because the one they did is weird. And I don't like it as a starting activity.
Can I see it?
In a few minutes.
Yay.
So what we're going to do is we are going to look at these sentences and kind of translate them into expressions. So we've got 3 times the number minus 7. How could I write that not in words?
3x minus 7.
Yeah. So when it says something like a number, that means we don't know that number. We're going to use a variable, whether it's an x or a y or a letter or the initial from your names. I don't care what letter we use. You can use a Q, you can use an R, you can use a Z. But when it says a number, it means we don't know. You can use n. Shoot, it's a variable. It doesn't have to be a letter. You could put a happy face. You could put a heart. It is a literal placeholder. It does not matter. You could do emojis. I don't do emojis often because I am so good at drawing. So good. They're trash. Y'all, I can't draw for nothing.
We could do better.
Not my skill set. So, I was like, there will be a couple where we get beautiful pictures that I draw to help us understand a thing, and oh, they are so pretty. I was going to say, you don't have to. I'm just going to write things up here so that we can see them. So this is 3 times some number. I'm just going to use an n for right now because it's called a number. And then minus 7, like this. So 3 times the number minus 7. That would be how we would write that as an expression. What's the difference between this one and the next one?
We would have to have parentheses.
Why?
Because it says then, which means...
Then
we
multiplied by
have to have
3. So we have to do our number minus 7 first. So we need to do our number minus 7 first. And then multiply it by 3. And you can either put the 3 at the end. It's a little awkward that way and it looks wrong. Usually we put our multiplication stuff in front of the parentheses. So like that. 3 times a number minus 7. And it's different than 3 times a number minus 7. But when I say it out loud and put those pauses, it makes it easier to see it, to hear it, than when it's in words. So see what you guys can come up with for the next couple. What do we think? How could we write these as expressions? Because we are going to be using this today. That's those card things. See if we can figure out how we would write these next 3. What do you think? So then, hold your thoughts for a second. Let someone else answer. What do we think for the third one? Good thought. So if I do C minus 60%, am I taking away 60% of the cost, or am I just taking $60? $60. How can I make that 60% of the cost? Well, what do we have to do with our 60% and the cost? Closer? Super, super close.
Make it to a decimal.
So when we have percents, it is going to be easier for us if we do make this a decimal. So how do I take 60% and write it as a decimal? 0.6. So if I need 0.6 of the original cost, what do I need to do with the 0.6 and the cost? Multiply. That's how we get 60% of the cost. So we need to take our original cost and we're going to remove or take away 60%, 0.6 of our cost. So they're a little weird. They're a little weird. So how about, that was probably the weirdest one. How about the next one? Total number of hours worked during D days for someone who works 7 hours each day. D times 7. Absolutely valid. D times 7. Or we could write it as 7D. 7 times D, not 70 with the O.
Or you could also do 7 times C equals X or 7D equals X.
True, but we're only working with expressions for right now. We're not doing equations. How about the last one? Super, super close. Times. So we're going to have our H, our number of hours, times how much money we make. 0.25. So our number of hours times that $7.25 an hour. Or again, I could switch their order because it doesn't matter what order we write multiplication in. I can do 7.25H. Those all mean the same thing. When I have them in the same color on that same line, they mean the same thing. So D times 7 and 7 times D are the same thing. H times 7.25 and 7.25H are the same thing. Okay? So there's more than one way to write things, even though they are equivalent. So we're going to do a lot of this, especially over the next few weeks, where we are practicing kind of translating these. Okay? Because again, if you flip through this book, almost everything is a story problem. There's a few pages where we just give you equations, but almost everything is a story problem. So we're going to have bunches and bunches. So what we're going to do for the most of today, not the all, but the most, we have a card sort activity. And what we have is you're going to start with a group of 4 people. And each person gets a card. So everyone's going to take one of the green cards is how we start. And what it has on it, it'll have at the top, it says I have, and then it'll usually have a number or a very short expression. So on the I haves, that's an answer. So at the bottom, it has a who has. And that's your question. So what you're going to do is one person's going to start, and they're only going to read their who has. So, for example, this one says, who has the product of 7 and a number? And whoever has that as their answer is going to say, I have, whatever that answer is. And then it's going to be who has the next thing. So it works as a chain. So it'll connect back up, and if you did it right, the last person's question should match the first person's answer. So we're starting with a small group of 4, because the one the book has is a beast, I believe, of 12. So we're going to start with the run of 4 so that we can get used to the mechanism and see how it's supposed to work. And then we'll go and combine 2 groups together to do the big one. Okay? So, this is called trying to troubleshoot issues I've had in the past. Okay? Because I want us to get used to the mechanism before we try and do the weird. So, get together with some people. I don't want you guys doing this on your own. It doesn't have to be a group of 4. You can set this up like a chain on the desk if you just want to read and not have to say things out loud. It's talking. So, just say, work together. It's like I know you don't want to work on your own. I was going to say, you can work with a friend.
I could work on it.
It doesn't matter to me. I was going to say, you guys want to work together? Like Gabby, you should join a group. You want to, I think she's moved over here. I was going to say, it was like, get with people. Move your butts. Okay. Maybe behind yes. You want to come up here and say it? That would make it better for you guys.
Just go
There we go. It says, you guys all work together before? There you go.
One half the opposite.
All right. So you're connecting them together.
One half the opposite of eight.
Negative 4. And then what should you say who has? 5, 7, 8.
B. All right, there we go.
Who has the product? We kind of lined it up a little bit.
You guys got it? Okay, so you see how the mechanism kind of works on here? Okay.
It was kind of right on 3 letters.
It happens sometimes. It happens sometimes. That's probably called the group who had that set of cards last year, put them in order. And they're in
I actually
That's okay.
Who has the difference of?
One second, so hold on one second.
Oh, hold on to them?
You guys are making a change together, so one of you is going to read out your cat. You can say, I have the number of 5. Who has that information?
Who has
The difference of a number of 5.
No, I could have wrote it up there.
So who has that? You guys need to listen to each other, all 4 of you.
the sum?
You said,
It's a big flex.
who has
48
difference of a number of 5? So then you have, so you say, I have.
How many of them?
I have.
Can we
I did this class, I was doing.
Who has that? You got it?
Yeah, we found that.
Okay, cool. You guys kind of see the pattern of the flow on these a bit? So why don't you guys put together in a big group? And, please paper clip your green groups back together. Oh, the greens are done. Come on now, just so we can get used to that mechanism of that kind of awkward. Try and start with this.
It's
here's
basically
the next
C
one.
plus math.
Yes,
You know those
you got it out? Okay, I think you
You have to
guys
do basically write like.
can come together.
Explain why the word comes from correct and to
All right, so I think,
4 different.
so paper clip you guys' greens back together. Paper clip your greens back together. And then, because we're gonna combine a couple of groups together. Because this one has a lot more cards. And I didn't want you guys all have to do like 12 cards. Okay, so it has a lot more cards. So we're gonna combine the groups together, so probably you guys with this group, and then I may have them split. So here's the next set of cards. They're separate with greens.
I have 38 negative 9.
So, how do you read that? Either, they can go into each of the 2 big groups, or you
Who
can
has
write
the
into
difference
BC on your
of
own.
number of?
There's like 3 times as many
Who has
cards.
the difference of number of 7?
Okay? There'll be a 5 groups over time. So see what we can do with the big set.
I have 30.
You get one, how many do we get?
You, I was like, honestly, you probably are gonna need to have more than one, or some people with more than one. Or you can put them in the, like, put them in the center and have everybody decide on those. But yeah, that's why I'm like, but I wanted something that gave us practice with that mechanism before we tried to go into the big, because the white cards are what the book said. And I'm like, that's a little much.
I got it. You need 2 more.
Who has
Plus
twice a number of 6?
2x.
I was right. I told you everybody gets 4.
Oh, are you gonna have 16 cards?
I told you.
Well, 16. The 12 or 16?
16.
16, then everybody gets 4.
Yards.
Y'all 4 is
Everybody just put all the cards on the table.
It's 2x plus 6. It's 2x plus 6.
It says plus.
It's twice the number and 2x plus 6. I'm 2x minus 6.
A lot of them are very similar.
This one says
I have.
Who has 7 times a number subtracted
I
from
know.
the same
Who
number?
has the difference of twice the number in
Last negative.
Who has the difference
Negative.
of number and 8?
I got 7. Who has 7 times a number
Who
subtracted from
has
the
the
same
difference of
number?
4 times the number and 8 times the number?
minus the same number?
I got
30x minus 9.
Oh, wait, it could be six.
Okay, wait, read again. Who has seven
Maybe
times
it's
the
you,
number
'cause you got
selected from the
3x
same
minus
group
30.
have the
Who
x
has
plus
the
one?
difference of 4 times the number and 8 times.
I'm not really that loud, am I?
Oh.
I'm quiet, I like to be quiet.
Okay, right. Who has the difference of
So it gotta be
4
like the
times
same
the
number.
and 8 times the same number?
If it says same number.
I'm not counting, and you can
It
figure
gotta
it
be
down.
down.
The difference of.
So X is more than
Fine,
that.
but-
The difference of 8 times the number and 4 times the same number.
You're not putting it in the group.
So
Yeah, they can.
8
Like-
x minus
Who
4.
has it?
Don't cut off the circulation.
So it'd be 4x,
The difference of 4 times.
which is me. 4 is then 3 times the sum of a number and 1.
Bro.
8 more than what?
8 more than 3 times.
Let's check on check 1.
What's up, bruh?
8
That's a word.
It's not one in.
It's up,
8
bruh.
more than 3 times the sum of a number and 1.
3x minus 1 is
We're
You have negative 3x?
gonna have to answer it. Do it.
Okay, so it's not negative.
Or are you looking at the, are you looking if he has your picture?
That's all I have.
Where, okay, so who has that? He did. Okay, so we're looking for this one, right? The difference of 4 times the number
Wait,
and
half
8
the
times
sum
the
of
same.
what?
Try writing it out.
A number of 14.
What you have. Write out what you think it will be. Okay, because that, some of them are simplified
Yeah.
further, they're not direct
Oh,
translation,
yeah.
they're simplified.
X%.
Okay, so write them out, if you get stuck, you can't find it.
A number of 14.
And if you want more dry erase markers, I have tons, I've got tons of boards to toss a couple out.
So 7x.
4 times the number.
Subtract 7 from a number and multiply the rest by 9.
What?
Wait.
Subtract 7 from a number and multiply the result with an eraser.
How do you erase?
Yeah, it's like dancing
With that dry erase board,
on.
oh, you're something that is.
X
It's like
minus
the whole
30.
paragraph.
There's an eraser.
Thank you, sir.
3x.
It's 2 questions.
Oh, that's me.
Sorry, guys. There we go, we're communicating.
The difference of 4
Oh,
times the number and 8 times the same.
So the difference